Welcome to Aging Untold. Today we're talking about a painful but preventable health condition that impacts more than 2 million people each year, pressure sores, also known as bed sores. We want to warn you, some of the upcoming images and conversation may be a little graphic, but it's an important topic to tackle. Dr. Ray, can you start by explaining what pressure sores are and how they develop?
Well, they develop when prolonged pressure cuts off blood flow to the skin. Any organ where you have no blood flow eventually will die. So there's different stages of these bed sores or pressure sores. So there's about 4 stages, really 5 when you can't describe it anymore. But the first stage is the skin is intact, and it's what we call the skin doesn't blanch. So, when you push into your skin and it turns white, it's because the blood flow capillaries are intact. So you stop that blood flow. When you let go, the color comes back. So it just goes downhill from there. So the second stage is the skin is not intact anymore, but it's like a superficial blister. And then the third one is more full thickness. Now you can see fat. And then on the fourth stage, you're seeing bone and ligaments and tendons and all that. But what's really important that if you really inspect the skin, keep it clean and intact and all that, to look for those. And then knowing where the pressure sores are, but look at the skin, and one of the earliest signs is when it doesn't blanch. That's an early sign that you have some compromise going on already.
And a pressure sore doesn't happen in a day, but prevention certainly does. And if you know where to look and you know what to look for, you can prevent these. And I tell people, up until the exception for me has always been end of life. When you're in that final stage, in that transitional stage, we can't prevent.
Sure.
But up until then, these are preventable. You should never have somebody that has a bed sore, but you got to know where to look.
Right.
So shoulders, hips, coccyx, which is right above your tailbone, heels.
Yeah.
I have seen heel sores that have gone septic, and we have lost people over just a tiny sore where a shoe's rubbing because they're not wearing good socks.
Right.
And so knowing what to look for and where to look for it, and then how to prevent them is paramount. And too many people don't know.
I know. One site I love is Medicare.gov, and it has a whole list of supplies and equipment that you can use if you do get a bed sore. But you can also find tips to prevent. Something so simple, get pressure off the area 2 hours at a time. If you've got the arm strength, lift yourself up if you've got pressure on your bottom. Go ahead and get up and move around. And one little tip, it's kind of off what you said, was if you're wondering, is this a pressure sore? You're out there like, am I going to recognize it? If there's a little like color red,
Push on it.
push on it. That's right. And then also you can lift your heel up, and if that color is the same color, it doesn't change. Whether you're Caucasian, it's like red. If you're brown, it's purple. And then if it stays that way in 30 minutes, get it checked right away.
Right. And I think if you understand, like you said, where to look and all that, those bony prominences, if you know.
Right. Well, if we sit here like this the whole
For
time
long enough, yeah.
and we're doing this show, at the end of the show, the elbow's going to be red. That's actually the beginning stages of what could turn into a pressure sore.
Yeah.
And so you've got to watch for that.
It's so interesting when you're at home, if you wash yourself, pat yourself dry instead of rubbing. When your skin is older, it's thin.
Yeah,
Right.
very thin,
And
yeah.
use a lot of moisturizer, lots and lots of moisturizer. If you're in bed and you're sleeping on a wrinkled clothing, wrinkled sheets,
Exactly.
get them flattened out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm learning so much. Well, but the topic of bed sores, my family learned this the hard way. Just awful, horrific. My dad, because of his weight and his condition, when he had emergency transport, he was pulled out on a tarp, and he got a horrific shearing wound that we did not know about, and the hospital hid it from my family for days upon days. Every time staff was going to do something for my dad, they would ask the family members to leave the room. And this is way before I got into the aging space, and we didn't know any better. So we just complied. We did what was ordered. We went out in the hallway and we waited like, good, compliant people. And then we'd come in when they would let us in. Well, one day my mother and my brother walked in just a little too soon, and they got a glimpse of this horrible wound. And what I learned from that experience is that modesty is out the window. Just like childbirth. Forget
Right.
it. If your family's in the hospital, you're going to see some private parts because you've got to watch what's going on and you want to stay present, observe, and ask questions. Be the advocate that your loved one needs. When they're vulnerable, like in the hospital, they need to be watched.
And let's not forget, we tend to talk about pressure sores and we're talking about bedridden people. Don't forget about the people in wheelchairs. See, people forget about people in wheelchairs. They're still sitting. They still
That's
have to
right.
be repositioned
That's
and all that as well.
exactly right.
You
That's
know, and then
exactly-
the other part to that, yes, pressure sores because of lack of blood flow, which is cutting off oxygen and nutrients, but also their status of them and nutritional status. Different things to help that skin to be able to repair. They probably have, some vascular diseases already, but what about things like vitamin C and zinc and things that you can help them to really repair?
And up
And-
your protein intake.
Up your
Absolutely.
protein intake.
You have
and
to up your protein.
Get on Medicare B, get that stage 3 and 4. If you're home, you can get homebound wound care and get that healed faster.
Right.
All right, very good. I know this has to be helpful for viewers, and sometimes it's families that are the first line of defense. We'll be right back on Aging Untold.